Ada arrived before dawn, the hush of the empty office halls broken only by the echo of her mop against marble floors. Clad in her crisp navy blue uniform, she moved with quiet precision. Every sweep of dust, every fold of discarded paper catalogued in her mind. She valued order, even in the smallest detail, a habit forged in years of meticulous work. By 7:45 a.m., the break room cracked to life. Fluorescent lights hummed overhead as laughter ricocheted against formica tables. 3 colleagues, Tara, Andre, and Sheila, clustered around a chipped coffee machine, whispering behind cupped hands. Ada paused at the threshold, coffee pot in one hand, pastry tray in the other. "Look at Ms. Sparkle over there," Tara drawled, voice low enough to feign innocence. "Who does she think she is, strolling in at 8 sharp like she owns this place?" "She cleans Tara," Sheila snickered. "Don't forget, she's just the cleaning lady." Andre chortled, pointing at Ada's name tag. ADA, 3 simple letters. "Want a donut, Ada? Just scrub a few desks, and these beauties are yours." Without turning, Ada placed the pastry tray on the counter. "Thank you, Andre. I'll take 1 glazed, please." Her tone was soft, but carried an edge that made Andre freeze mid-laugh. She selected a single donut, dripping sugar, and set it down slowly on her cleaning cart. Andre's grin faltered. "Enjoy." Sheila winked. "Don't burn yourself on the coffee machine, sweetie." Ada didn't respond. Instead, she climbed onto her ladder and silently began dusting the top of the cabinets. From this vantage point, she watched the trio's faces, prideful, ignorant, amused. She knew their names now. Tara Jensen, always late, always snide. Andre Patel, office joker with a knack for cruelty. Sheila Marquez, Andrea's sidekick, eyes always darting for an opportunity to join in. As she wiped away a layer of dust, she thought of her plan. Each insult, each mocking glance was being logged mentally. Every tiny bruise to her dignity would fuel the reckoning to come. Just then, a stray sugar-coated crumb slipped from the donut, landing on the floor at Sheila's feet. Sheila glanced down, her face contorting in disgust as she raised one manicured eyebrow. "Great, she's making a mess now." Andre barked a laugh. "Maybe mop that up too, Ada." The ladder creaked. Ada descended with measured steps, each click of her shoes deliberate. She retrieved the dustpan and broom, swept up the crumb, and tossed it into the trash with a soft thud. "Done," she said, quietly looking up. Her eyes glinted with calm resolve. "Anything else?" Tara's mouth snapped shut, her laughter dying on her lips. Andre and Sheila exchanged uneasy glances. For the first time, Ada felt their attention sharpen, to see if she'd respond, snap, or perhaps beg forgiveness. Instead, she picked up her cart and moved on, leaving a ripple of unease in her wake. As she pushed the door closed behind her, she whispered under her breath, "They'll regret underestimating me." And her mind raced ahead to the day she would remind them just how powerful the quietest storms could be. Later that morning, the chief operations officer, Mr. Collins, stalked through the corridors. He barked at IT to fix a paper jam, scolded the receptionist for misplaced envelopes, and scowled at the flickering conference room projector. Meanwhile, Ada glided through the supply closet, an unassuming door behind the finance wing. She spent only 90 seconds inside, straightening stacks of printer paper by size, alphabetizing folders by client name, calibrating the office's communal label maker so the text printed perfectly aligned. She swapped out nearly empty toner cartridges without leaving a trace of where the old ones went, restocked ink pens by color code, and dusted the top shelf until the metal filing cabinets gleamed. Just as Mr. Collins stormed in, face red with impatience, Ada emerged, closing the door with a discreet click. Mr. Collins stopped dead. His eyes traced the immaculate rows of supplies, then snapped to Ada. Did someone reorganize this?" he stammered. His usual authoritarian stance faltered. Ada offered a small, polite nod. I noticed the closet was disorganized, sir. Thought it might save time if everything were easy to find. Mr. Collins ran a hand through his thinning hair. You organized it. I did, Ada replied, voice steady. The labels will help the team locate items at a glance. He stared for a moment longer, as if debating whether to reprimand her for venturing where she didn't belong, or to thank her for solving what had cost the office manager hours of frustration. Finally, he cleared his throat. Well, excellent work. He turned on his heel and hurried away, leaving Ada with a soft glow of satisfaction. Word spread quickly. By lunchtime, a few mid-level managers peeked into the closet and marveled at its order. Someone started a whispered conversation in the hallway. Who is this cleaning lady? That afternoon, Ada passed Tara in the lobby. Tara's phone sat in her hand, and she looked up with curiosity. Hey, Ada, are you some sort of organization expert? Ada paused, considering. I used to head a productivity team at my last job. Then I left under unfortunate circumstances. She smiled gently. But I like helping people find what they need. Tara's expression shifted, part awe, part confusion. I didn't know that. Ada tilted her head. Few do. Then she turned and walked away, leaving Tara to stare after her. Behind the scenes, Ada filed these reactions away. Each whispered theory built the perfect foundation for her moment of revelation. She allowed hints of her past expertise to surface. Here, a perfectly refilled toner. There, an impeccably dusted shelf. Every small mastery stoked whispers of her hidden identity, sparking curiosity, admiration, and a twinge of envy. That night, as she locked the closet door, Ada pressed her palm to the cold metal. The gears in her mind shifted into place. The teasing had begun to waver. Their confidence in her insignificance was cracking. And when it shattered entirely, they would wish they had never laughed at the cleaning lady. On Wednesday morning, the air in the office felt taut, like a wire strung too tight. Ada glided past the open-plan cubicles, her uniform note perfect, mop dripping just enough to leave a damp trail visible only to her. She rounded the corner toward the executive wing, whistling softly under her breath. Through the glass walls of the corner office, she glimpsed an open folder on the desk labeled in red letters. Layoffs, April. Her heart quickened. She knew what this meant. Names, dates, severance packages. Entire careers about to vanish. She edged closer under the pretense of dusting the desk, her hazel eyes scanning the page when the executive, Ms. Ramirez, stepped out for coffee. Ada seized the moment. She slipped behind the desk, her back to the door, and quickly snapped a photo on her hidden phone. File name April _. Then, with meticulous care, she closed the folder, aligned the sheets perfectly, and moved on as if nothing had happened. Moments later, Ms. Ramirez returned. Did the cleaning crew come through already? She asked, voice crisp. Ada paused with her spray bottle. Just finished. She sprayed a light mist over the desk surface, smoothing a soft cloth over it. Everything should look as good as new. Ms. Ramirez peered at the closed folder. Excellent. She didn't stir the papers. Thank you. Ada gave a curt nod and moved away. In the supply closet later, she reviewed the photo on her phone. The list of names glowed starkly. 6 people to be cut, including some she'd quietly befriended. A tight smile curved her lips. Knowledge is power. That afternoon, Ada slipped into the break room again, just as Andre lined up his 4th donut. She mimicked his motion, reached for a stale pastry and paused. Don't touch that, Andre snarled. She looked at him with tranquil eyes. I found something more interesting. She tapped her phone. A confidential file that could bring the whole place down. Andre's face blanched. What file? She leaned in. The layoff roster. Names, packages, dates. Tara and Sheila dropped their voices. You have that? How? Ada straightened, voice low. I suggest you think twice before mocking me again, because I know who's on that list. The room fell silent. A chill ran through the midday warmth as Ada pocketed her phone and walked away. Behind her, uncertainty bloomed in every direction. That night, as the cleaning crew's trucks pulled away, Ada slipped back inside. She carried no mop, no bucket, only a small toolkit hidden beneath her jacket. Security cameras lined the ceiling of the IT server room, their red LEDs blinking like watchful eyes. Ada climbed a ladder with graceful efficiency. Her gloved fingers traced the cables until she reached the camera feeds. With a quick snip and careful splice, she cut power to 2 cameras, rerouting the lines so the monitors displayed static. She replaced the screws, ensured no wires dangled, and tested the system. No outage recorded. Satisfied, she retrieved her toolkit and descended. The next morning, IT technicians busied themselves at the server console, scratching their heads at logs showing a brief signal interruption between 2 a.m. and 2:03 a.m. No cause found. No culprit caught. Over breakfast, the rumor mill churned. Did you hear the cameras died? One guard asked another. They say someone tampered with the wires. Ada stood nearby, spoon hovering over her oatmeal. She caught their eyes and smiled faintly. They didn't see the triumph gleaming in her gaze. Later, in the executive wing, Ms. Chen, head of security, rushed into a meeting. We have a breach, she announced. Someone disabled cameras. I want full logs on every person who accessed the closet last night. A hush fell over the room. Heads swiveled. Ada's heart pounded, but she maintained composure. They're chasing ghosts. She slipped out just as Ms. Chen barked orders. Locked down the server room. No one in after hours without express permission. As Ada pushed her cart down the hallway, she overheard the detective manager, Mr. Okoro, briefing the security team. Someone's playing a game. Next time, no guesses, it's traceable. Ada paused at her locker. One more move, she thought. Then they'll realize how deep this goes. The following morning crackled with heightened tension. Employees arrived early, scanning each other's faces with suspicion. Security badges were checked twice. Ms. Chun patrolled hallways like a hawk. Ada, meanwhile, sat in the break room, stirring her tea. She unfurled a small notebook, black leather, edges worn. Inside were columns of names: Tara Jensen, Andre Patel, Sheila Marquez, each accompanied by a date and a brief note. Morning taunt, March 6th. Closet mockery, March 7th. Donut insult, March 8th. She flipped to a fresh page and began a new list. April layoffs, protection list. Names of allies she intended to spare. Mr. Collins, Ms. Ramirez, even the night shift janitor who once offered her coffee when no one else would. At exactly 9:02 a.m., Tara swept into the break room. Phone pressed to her ear. She jabbed at the air. Yes, I'm here. No cameras, nothing. This is ridiculous. She noticed Ada and bristled. Oh, look, it's Sleepy Eyes. Andre and Sheila joined her, smirks poised. But before they could speak, Ada spoke first, voice calm as water. Good morning, Tara. She slid the notebook across the table. I believe this is yours. Tara looked down. Her eyes widened at the row of her own name, followed by the notes of each humiliation. She swallowed hard. What? How? I record everything, Ada said softly. Every insult, every snicker. And right here, she tapped another column, are the people I want gone. She flicked the page to the layoffs list, highlighted names, severance details, and spaces left blank. Your name isn't on that list. Yet. Andre's jaw dropped. Sheila's face drained of color. The three exchanged frightened glances. The hum of the coffee machine seemed deafening. Ada rose from her chair, collected her notebook, and placed it in her locker. Consider this your first and final warning. With that, she swept out of the room, her head held high. Tara, Andre, and Sheila stared after her, the gravity of her quiet power settling in their bones. Across the office, whispers erupted. The cleaning lady had become something else entirely. And as Ada pushed her cart onward, a slow smile curved her lips. Her list was just beginning. The morning sun had barely pierced the tinted glass when the big day arrived. The quarterly client pitch, expected to secure the largest contract in company history. In the cavernous boardroom, the whiteboard gleamed, the polished mahogany table stretched to accommodate 12 executives in bespoke suits. At the head of the table stood Nathaniel Price, the firm's lead strategist, confidence personified, his PowerPoint clicker gleaming like a scepter. Across the room, Marisol Chin, the junior account manager, nursed a trembling coffee cup. "Nate, the files are locked on your laptop?" she whispered, voice tight. "Of course," he replied, brow furrowed. "I triple-checked last night." He strode to the podium, the tile floor reflecting his polished Oxfords. With a crisp click, the screen behind him sprang to life, then flickered, sputtered, and went dark. A hush descended. Nathaniel's jaw clenched. He tapped the clicker again. Nothing. Marisol leaned forward, whisper-shredded panic in her eyes. What happened? He jabbed the button again. The monitor displayed the dreaded "File not found" message. Impossible. He glanced at the IT support rep in the corner, bleary from too many all-nighters. Moments later, the IT rep approached, cheeks flushed. "Sir, the server's reporting no trace of your presentation. It's gone." Behind the glass wall, Ada approached on mop duty, pausing to listen. She smirked under the rim of her cap. She'd slipped into the server room at 2:03 a.m., Windex in one hand, a simple USB with a looping script in the other. A few keystrokes later, the folder vanished into digital oblivion. No backups, no archive, just poof. Back in the boardroom, murmurs rippled like water droplets. Clients shifted in their chairs. Nathaniel's confidence cracked. We'll reconvene in an hour. Our team will recover the files." Marisol's voice quavered. "Should I reschedule the webcast?" He shook his head, sweat beading at his temples. "No. Get the backups, anywhere." As the room emptied, Ada ducked inside. She hovered near the podium, mop propped against the wall. Nathaniel, red-faced, glared at her. "What's your name?" he snarled. "Ada," she replied softly. "Cleaning." He sneered. "Get out." She offered a serene smile. "Perhaps I can help. I noticed the server lights were dim when I passed by." She tapped her cart. Sometimes a system reboot works wonders. He stared, torn between anger and desperation. Finally, he gestured. "Go on, then." Ada wheeled her cart to the corner power panel, lifted the cover, and flicked the main breaker, rebooting the network. Within seconds, lights blinked back to life. Screens hummed. The boardroom projector roared. Clients re-entered, none the wiser that the original deck was gone. Nathaniel swiped at his forehead. "Thank you, Ada." As she walked away, mop clicking behind her, she whispered into her earpiece. "Phase 6 complete." Word of the mysterious presentation meltdown spread like wildfire. By noon, the executive elevator was crammed with hushed conjecture. Sabotage? IT glitch? Divine intervention? Detective Manager Olyamide Okoro arrived that afternoon, crisp in navy blue and sporting a badge clipped to his belt, an anomaly in the corporate world. He strode past cubicles, stopping at the security desk. "Show me the badge access logs for the server room." 2 to 3 a.m., he ordered. His eyes, sharp as scalpels, scanned the security officer's screen. The logs displayed 4 entries at 2:03 a.m., 3 from known IT staff and 1 labeled simply cleaning staff. No further details. Okoro's lips thinned. He keyed into the database. Ada Williams, no staff file. A ghost. Moments later, he cornered the security officer by the monitors. "Who's the cleaning staff?" he demanded. "We only have contractor IDs." The officer shrugged. Housekeeping logs show Ada Williams on shift. She's been here 6 months, but no HR record. Suspicion prickled through Okoro's spine. He dialed HR. No record. He keyed his radio. All guard units. Keep an eye on a woman named Ada Williams. She may be tied to an overnight security breach. Meanwhile, Ada, mop in hand, rounded the corner and froze at the detective's stiff posture. Her face remained impassive. You, he barked. Stop. Unafraid. Ada set down her mop. Yes. He flashed his badge. Detective Okoro, you were in the server room at 2:03. Explain. Ada reached into her pocket and produced a laminated contractor badge. Housekeeping. Shift slipped by digital record due to system glitch. Her voice was calm, even rehearsed. I saw the cameras blink off and on. Figured it needed a reboot. Okoro studied her, searching for cracks. Finding none, he snapped the badge away. Badge expires tonight. Renew at security. As she walked away, Okoro's gaze followed her slender figure disappearing around the corner. In his palm, Ada's abandoned badge gleamed ominously. Back at his desk, he tapped his pen. Ada Williams, no trace prior to 6 months ago. Interview subject. That evening, Ada sat in her modest apartment, an oasis of order in a chaotic city. She retrieved a worn manila folder from her desk drawer, labeled simply confidential. Inside lay her old resume, meticulously typed. Ada Williams, former senior HR director, Apex Global NYC. Expertise, organizational restructuring, talent management, crisis mitigation. Wrongfully terminated. CSC 2341, Arbiter's Ruling, 2022. She recalled the day she'd walked out of that towering glass building in Manhattan, head held high, while gossiping colleagues whispered about the cleaning lady. How little they knew. Her phone buzzed. A single message from an unlisted number. Meet at the back entrance. Midnight. Bring the folder. At 11:45 p.m., Ada slipped into her trench coat and headed to the rear parking lot of the office building. Under a flickering sodium lamp, a figure emerged, Emmanuel Manny Okoye, her former IT manager at Apex Global. He gave a curt nod. Ada, he murmured, eyes dark with relief. I never thought I'd see you again. She handed over the manila folder. I need you back on my side. They've got no idea what's coming. He thumbed through the resume, incredulous. Senior HR director? You. They told me you were. Just the cleaning lady, she finished. I played the part. Manny's gaze hardened. I'm in. But Okoro's sniffing around and security's on edge. We'll need cover, some plausible IT issue to explain my sudden reappearance. Ada smiled. Already arranged. You're rehired as interim network consultant. No one will question it. He pocketed the resume. What's next? She looked up at the looming office windows. Operation Total Recall. We expose every offender, one by one. Over the next week, Manny slipped back through the front doors under a fresh ID, head bowed like a tardy student. Ada coordinated from the cleaning closet. Schedule shifts, plan insider tips, and identify weak links among the mocking employees. One night, under the pretense of a routine midnight sweep, Ada met with a second ally, Lola, a soft-spoken receptionist who once winked at kindness. In the empty lobby's half-light, they conferred. Names. Lola whispered, scribbling on a scrap of paper. 4 targets tonight, Ada replied. Tara, Andre, Sheila, and Marisol Chin, who ignored my warnings. Lola's hand trembled. You sure? Ada's eyes were steel. Justice doesn't check comfort. They mocked me. They mocked us. Together, they planted encrypted messages on each target's workstation. Emails threatening exposure unless they came clean and apologized publicly. By dawn, every computer displayed a red letter alert. You will apologize or face consequences. Ada knows everything. Panicked employees huddled beneath fluorescent lights. Security scrambled. Okoro barked orders. Find the source. Now. But the trail led nowhere. False credentials, masked IPs, phantom user accounts. Ada watched from the stairwell. Lips curled in satisfaction. Before leaving, she tapped Lola's shoulder. You did well. Lola smiled, tears in her eyes. Thank you, Ada. The night of the annual board gala arrived. Crystal chandeliers, champagne fountains, the CEO's golden speech. In the cavernous ballroom, every executive wore black tie, their reflections dancing in the polished marble. Ada slipped into the service corridor beneath the stage, dressed in a crisp white blouse and black slacks. Her uniform tonight as event staff. Manny waited by the electrical panel, silent as a shadow. Ready, he whispered. She nodded. He handed her a slim remote. On 3. Upstairs, the CEO raised his glass. To another record year. Manny counted down. 3, 2, 1. He punched the breaker. Instantly the lights winked out. Gasps and screams echoed. Crystal glasses shattered as the tables plunged into darkness. In the confusion, the gala's live broadcast cut to static. On the grand staircase, security officers scurried. Detective Okoro pounded down into the ballroom, barking orders into his radio. Secure the exits. Locate the breaker panel. Below, Ada stepped around startled waiters, scattering trays of hors d'oeuvres. She pressed the remote again. The backup generator went offline. The chandeliers dimmed to a faint glow. Panic rippled through the crowd. Upstairs, the CEO's voice trembled into the microphone. Ladies and gentlemen, please remain calm. Manny's earpiece crackled. Everything's down. We've got control. Ada slipped out through the side door as alarms blared. She paused on the rooftop terrace, looking over the glittering city skyline. The chaos she'd wrought would dominate headlines and whispers for days. She tapped her phone. Phase 10 complete. A calm smile curved her lips. The storm had been perfect. The following morning, the atmosphere in the office was electric with fear. Word of a secret executive directive had leaked, and by 9 a.m., every smartphone screen displayed a company-wide memo from Ada Williams, Interim Chief Operating Officer. Effective immediately, the following personnel are terminated for conduct unbecoming and gross insubordination: Tara Jensen, Andre Patel, Sheila Marquez, and Marisol Chin. Human Resources will process exit interviews and final pay. This action is non-negotiable. At the HR office, the stunned HR manager, Ms. Alvarez, sat frozen behind her desk. Her assistant, clutching the spreadsheet of fired employees, asked tremulously, "But, Ms. Williams, did you really?" Ada entered, mop in hand, uniform crisp. "I did," she replied softly. "Respect is not optional." These individuals made it clear they do not value their colleagues, nor the company. She stepped closer to the screen, showing the email's delivery report. Ensure the severance packages are paid in full. No loopholes. Ms. Alvarez nodded mechanically, fingers shaking as she typed. Forwarded to legal. In cubicle row 3, Tara sat staring at her phone's email alert. Andre's and Sheila's corners of the open plan space were empty. Chairs rolled back, nameplates removed. Marisol's door stood ajar, light spilling onto the carpet, but no sign of life. Andre's voice crackled over the intercom, his voicemail message. "Hey team, it's me. Let's regroup in the lobby." Nobody answered. By late afternoon, the echo of footsteps through hallways was replaced by hushed questions. Who's next? How did she do it? Where is she hiding? Ada watched from the stairwell, mop against her shoulder, expression serene. The clean sweep was complete, and it was only the beginning. A viral clip erupted online that evening. Security camera footage of Ada calmly entering the server room at 2:03 a.m., swapping hard drives, and slipping out as an alarm silently reset. Within hours, the video racked up millions of views under the hashtag Justice for Ada. Viewers mesmerized by her poise and audacity. In the IT war room, Manny Okoye leaned over monitors, refreshing analytics. "We've hit 20 million views across platforms," he murmured. Comments are 90% in her favor. Ada, seated beside him, pressed a finger to her lips. "Push another clip. Show them the firing memo landing in HR inboxes." He uploaded the video montage. Server room footage spliced with chilling termination notice alerts. Social feeds exploded with applause. Memes of Ada in a superhero stance flooded Twitter, Instagram, and TikTok. News outlets picked up the story. Even international feeds hailed the cleaning lady who cleaned house. The next morning, security guards at the front entrance scanned incoming headlines. Detective Okoro strode through the lobby, phone pressed to his ear as he barked updates. "Yes, it's gone global. Legal's demanding a takedown, but the clip's been shared too widely." He hung up, face grim. "She's not just a threat internally, she's a phenomenon." Ada passed by, uniform spotless. She glanced up, met Okoro's eye, and offered him a slight, knowing smile before pushing her cart onward. By midday, a protest had formed outside the glass-fronted building. Dismissed employees and their supporters waving placards reading, "Fairness, not fear," and "Don't fire for fun." A local news crew filmed the crowd, tension simmering. On the broadcast, a commentator intoned, "Critics say Ada Williams abused her temporary authority, firing employees without due process. We reached out to the company, no comment." The camera panned to a drenched Tara Jensen, tears mingling with raindrops. "She ruined our lives," Tara sobbed. "All because she couldn't take a joke." Inside, Ada monitored a live feed from a private office. Her jaw set, she tapped her earpiece. "Deploy Phase 13. Moments later, digital billboards across the city flickered to life, projecting headlines. Layoffs list revealed, executives were planning to axe 56 employees this April. Below the headlines scrolled the scanned layoffs, April, file she'd photographed weeks earlier. On the street, protesters froze mid-chant. The crowd parted as whispers spread. "She saved our jobs, she's right." Within minutes, placards reversed. "Thanks, Ada," and "Justice served" replaced the old slogans. The local news went off script. In light of new evidence, the anchor announced, public sentiment shifts dramatically. Ms. Williams may have prevented mass layoffs. Clips of weeping employees, reclaimed by cheering coworkers, filled the airwaves. Back inside the building, security cameras caught the fired trio returning. Tara, Andre, Sheila, backs hunched. Badges reissued by HR, Ms. Alvarez approached them with reluctant smiles. "Welcome back." Ada watched from the mezzanine, mop tucked at her side. Her eyes gleamed with quiet satisfaction. The backlash had been real, but so had her cause. 3 days later, Ada sat under hot studio lights in an elegantly minimalist set. Across from her was Jamal Ihim, a seasoned journalist known for tough questioning. The backdrop read, "Morning Focus, the Ada Williams story." Jamal leaned forward. "Ms. Williams, some call you a hero. Others call you a vigilante. Did you overstep your authority?" Ada's posture was impeccable, back straight, hands folded. "Leadership isn't a rank, it's a responsibility. When those above you plan cruelty, someone must act." He nodded, "But firing without hearings." "Due process," she interrupted gently, "is only as fair as those who wield it. I uncovered misuse of management privilege. Mass layoffs disguised as restructuring. I gave those people transparency and a choice." Jamal's tone softened. "Your critics say you manipulated security systems to disable cameras and erase files. Isn't that criminal?" Ada's eyes stayed steady. "I disabled enough to protect innocence. And I restored every system immediately after. No data lost except unethical plans. The law is clear. Preventing harm is justifiable. Across social media, trailing live comments scrolled. She's brilliant, tell it, Ada. We need more leaders like her. At the segment's close, Jamal smiled. Whatever you are, Ms. Williams, you've sparked a conversation about power and justice in the workplace. Ada returned his smile. That was my plan. That afternoon, the company's boardroom buzzed with crisis. A video conference window displayed dozens of shareholders, their expressions grave as they scrolled through Ada's viral clips and press excerpts. The board's chairman, Mr. Lawson, squirmed in his seat. Fellow shareholders, he began, voice trembling, we face a potential class action lawsuit, plummeting reputation, and, apparently, a mass staff uprising in support of Ms. Williams. A voice chimed in from London. I move to call an emergency vote to remove the entire executive team for gross negligence. Seconded. Another shareholder echoed from Dubai. The digital poll launched, and within minutes, 87% had voted yes. Below them in the real boardroom, Mr. Lawson slammed his gavel. It appears we are no longer in charge. Meanwhile, Ada watched from her office suite, her mop leaning by the door, the interim COO plaque on her desk. A knock echoed. Manny entered with champagne and 2 flutes. To the new board, he toasted, handing her a glass. Ada lifted the flute, then set it down. To the new beginning. Through the window, she saw employees filing back into their stations, smiles genuine, respect rekindled. Justice, she'd proven, began with one person's courage to sweep away cruelty. The real work, she knew, was just beginning. Sunlight streamed through the glass facade as Ada stepped onto the rooftop terrace. This time not with a mop, but in a crisp, tailored suit. Below her, the city pulsed with life. A drone hovered at the building's edge, live-streaming her message to millions. Good morning, she began, voice steady. Today marks a new era for our company, one built on respect, transparency, and opportunity. She held up her phone, framing the skyline behind her as she recorded. Leadership isn't handed down, it's earned. And respect isn't demanded, it's shown. Behind the camera, Manny nodded approvingly. In the boardroom below, Detective Okoro and Ms. Alvarez gathered around the conference table, watching the live feed on a widescreen monitor. Mr. Lawson, newly reinstated as an independent advisor, leaned forward. She's a natural, he muttered. The stream cut to a montage of employees at work, collaborating, laughing, sharing ideas, proof that Ada's vision was already taking root. Viewers flooded the chat. Inspiring. I want to work there. Leadership goals. As the broadcast ended, Ada paused the recording and walked into the modern boardroom, her seat at the head of the table gleaming in soft light. Let's get to work, she said, opening a fresh notepad filled with bullet points. 1. Respect training. 2. Transparent promotion criteria. 3. Anonymous feedback channels. A collective breath swept the room. The dawn of Ada's leadership had truly arrived. By midweek, the email blast had gone out. Congratulations, you're rehired! Dozens of former employees clicked accept with tears of relief. In the cavernous lobby, a reunion unfolded. Tara, Andre, Sheila, and Marisol emerged, tentative smiles giving way to genuine laughter as colleagues greeted them with hugs. Ada stood by the reception desk, mop cart repurposed as a makeshift welcome station, handing out welcome back badges. Andre post otar sida. Thank you for this second chance, he stammered, voice thick with emotion. Ada offered a small, forgiving smile. Every mistake is a chance to learn. I believe in redemption. Sheila approached next, eyes glistening. I owe you an apology. Keep it sincere, not scripted, Ada teased, and Sheila laughed, a sign that healing had begun. In HR, Ms. Alvarez processed promotion packets for long overlooked but loyal staff. Marisol, once mocked for her meekness, now stepped into a project lead role. I'll prove your trust was well placed, she vowed. As the sun set, the building glowed from within. Teams collaborating late, inclusive chatter filling the halls. Ada watched from the top floor, satisfaction warming her chest. The innocent had been rehired, and with them, the true soul of the company revived. A month later, the company auditorium buzzed with excitement. Investors, media, and employees packed the seats for the launch of Respect at Work, a global initiative spearheaded by Ada. On stage, she unveiled a sleek website, mobile app, and training modules designed to foster empathy, accountability, and continuous feedback. She clicked a remote. Behind her, infographics displayed usage stats from pilot sites. 98% employee engagement, 74% reduction in complaints, and 65% increase in cross-department collaboration. Applause cascaded through the hall. During the Q&A, a reporter asked, "Ms. Williams, what drives you to champion this cause?" Ada paused, eyes sweeping the audience. "Because I lived the other side. I felt the sting of mockery and the fear of injustice. We can't legislate kindness, but we can build systems that reward it. That's my legacy." Afterward, employees lined up to share their own stories. Some moved to tears recalling how Ada's actions saved their careers. Across social media, CEOs from other companies signed up for the program. Hashtags like #RespectAtWork and #AdaLeads trended worldwide. As the lights dimmed, Ada slipped backstage, where Manny handed her a cup of tea. "They love it," he said simply. She nodded, scanning the applause that still echoed through the auditorium. Together, they had built more than a program. They'd built hope. Live on a global webcast, Ada faced her last and most personal challenge. On one side of the chat window sat Nigel Harrington, the former executive who once mocked her behind the scenes. On the other, thousands of live viewers. The host introduced the segment, Reconciliation or Retribution? Nigel appeared on screen, suit impeccable but posture stiff. He cleared his throat. "Ada, I was wrong. I judged you without knowing you. I humbly ask forgiveness." Ada's expression was unreadable as she leaned forward. "You thought you were untouchable, Nigel. You used your position to belittle others. Justice demanded accountability." She paused. "But leadership demands mercy. What will you do now?" Nigel's shoulders sagged. "I'll mentor new interns, attend every Respect at Work session, and dedicate our division's budget to scholarships for underprivileged employees." A roar of approval surged through the chat. "Forgive and empower! Growth! What a moment!" Ada closed her laptop softly. "Redeemed," she said, voice warm. "Let's build together." Her final showdown had ended not in vengeance, but in a powerful lesson. True strength lies in forgiveness. Montage time. Smiling teams collaborate over whiteboards. Former bullies now applaud new talent. Nigerian news anchors praise Ada's program. Desert interns code side by side in Tunisia under Respect at Work guidelines. The camera pulls back to Ada's office suite. She's sitting at her desk, mop leaning against the wall, a playful trophy. On her desk, the interim COO plaque has been updated to Chief Respect Officer. She leans back, closes her eyes, and exhales. Footsteps echo in the hallway. Her assistant peeks in. "Ms. Williams, the janitorial staff needs guidance on the new scheduling software." Ada smiles, stands, and picks up her mop. "Of course," she says. "Leadership begins with service." She walks into the corridor, mop in hand, head held high, ready to lead by example. The final shot freezes on her confident stride, then fades to black with the words, "Respect at Work, the Ada Williams story. Mission accomplished. The end."